What's up, guys? My name's Brennan. I'm joined with Trent, and this is Recall. All right, guys, what's up? We got some fun news coming all around different esports, and we even got a nice new spicy segment here at the end, so make sure you stay tuned for that. So, Trent, let's go ahead and jump in. What's going on in League of Legends?
All right. Well, everyone's been following. We just got through our second week of regular season play in all the different regions. It's been, as you said, it's been a spicy season so far, or spicy split so far. It's been lots of good things happening, lots of bad things happening, but for what it's worth, it has been entertaining to watch. I think I'm becoming a bigger fan of this new meta. At first, I was kind of lamenting about it. I didn't like it that much. It's become a little more toned down. I feel like marksmen have found their place back to the bot lane, but I'm still seeing these mage picks and these bruiser picks as it seems more counter picks and more like, here is another option. Here is not your only new option.
Yeah.
So it almost seems more entertaining to watch. Like, hey, Doublelift still gets to play his, great marksman, but Wild Turtle can throw out Brand bot lane. I'm not saying it's working. I'm not saying it's, it's a for sure win, but it gives him another option to try and go against someone who will objectively beat him every time in just the marksman duel.
Yeah.
So it's kind of balanced out. I'm enjoying it a little bit more now. Maybe I'm just getting used to it, but it's been entertaining to watch. So with that being said, the matchups the previous week were pretty entertaining. We got to see Team Liquid kind of assert dominance and show how strong they are as a team going against CLG and TSM and basically dismantling both rosters and having dominant wins. We saw Clutch Gaming get to keep their stride against TSM going. They're now 3-0 in that matchup, at least in best of one games, which is actually really good. Now, no one knows for sure if they're their kryptonite or maybe it's just TSM was trying to prepare more for their Team Liquid matchup that weekend instead of their Clutch Gaming matchup. But for what it's worth, TSM lost both, and Clutch Gaming now has the 3-0 in best of ones.
Oh, man.
So pretty exciting.
For sure.
We also saw a couple surprise wins, either in matchup like parity alone or in comebacks. We saw Optic Gaming take a surprise game off Echo Fox. And we saw the Golden Guardians not only take a surprise game off Cloud9, but they also made a surprise comeback. That was only on the first day, a Saturday.
Oh, wow.
On the second day, we got to see FlyQuest make a huge comeback. Their Nexus was exposed, but they were able to bring it back and take down Optic Gaming. And CLG is finally seemed to be back to a good, not the best team, but a average good team. They're 2-2 now, and they beat a Clutch Gaming, who is showing that they have some real strengths too, given that their only other loss at that point had been from the Echo Fox decision.
Okay.
So Clutch Gaming has only lost their Nexus turret one time this split, or their Nexus one time this split.
Oh, wow.
Because technically, when they lost their other game, it was decided for them. They didn't get to actually lose the game properly. Now, take that as you will, but for what it's worth, I see that. I mean, I see that scoreline. I say 2 wins and 1.75 losses. Because it just seems disingenuous to not give them some credit for that game where they were holding their own. But I digress. It's been a really interesting weekend. Like I said, we had some pretty good games. Some games had pretty expected results. Some things had surprises. But for what it's worth, that's only in A. In EU, we also had a pretty exciting week too. We have Misfits and G2 still just completely dominating the top of their standings. They're doing great for where they are. We also saw Unicorns of Love take a game off Splice. People expected that to be the game that Splice finally won this split so far, but they're still 0-4. So the previous third place team that had a lot of innovators, a lot of great, players that would innovate the meta and they would get these new picks. Xerxes is known for being the first Ivern. They're still 0-4. So I don't know what's going on with that team, but they're falling pretty flat.
Yeah, that's rough.
We're also seeing Schalke have a more average start too, considering they had a pretty abysmal start to their spring split. They're 2-2 now, and they've played some pretty strong teams, so it's pretty entertaining to watch them. Fnatic took a 2-0 week. They came back from there, lost to Misfits, but they did only play teams like H2K, and they played a game against Vitality. So Vitality is a stronger team, but I would never argue they're stronger than Fnatic, and I would definitely never argue that H2K is in any world within the past 2 years stronger than Fnatic. So Fnatic should have had a 2-0 this weekend, but it is good to see them having that 2-0. It's good to see them doing well.
Yeah, for sure.
The biggest news, the most exciting thing to me is two things from LCK. Is A, SKT is now on a 2-game win streak, or a 2-match win streak.
Ooh.
They took a game off. Their first game they took a game off was Jin Air Green Wings, which is a 0-7 team. They should not have lost that game, even as bad as they're failing. But the next game they won was against KT.
Okay.
So they won their first telecom wars of the summer. Now, of course, KT isn't the best team in LCK either, don't get me wrong, but it is exciting to see SKT seems to be finding a groove again, because now they are 2-4 compared to the 0-4 they were by the time this last episode aired.
Yeah.
So
was Faker in the starting lineup this time around?
Yes, he was. He played in the starting lineup and he popped off in a few games, but also their new support, not new, straight up, but that they've been trying to bring in to replace Wolf, Effort, he popped off on Pyke in game 3 versus KT. Like, it was actually an insane level of gameplay from him. It was really entertaining to watch.
Awesome.
But what really is surprising, what really let you know just how good this season of LCK was SKT bouncing back from being 0-4 and winning the first telecom war of the summer was the second highest rated thread on Reddit that morning. Oh, wow. Because the first highest rated thread was Griffin beating Kingzone Dragons.
Really?
This is that team from relegations I was telling you about, that challenger team. They are 6-0 now. They are top of the LCK standings. They're the best team there. All of these players are solo queue stars, non-heard of. They're all rookies.
Not
a
so
single
sick.
Player has played a season of LCK.
That is actually so
it is
sick.
So awesome to get to watch this team.
Yeah.
I've been watching their VODs. They're so entertaining. They're humble players. Like, they don't trash talk. It's just fun. It's a very entertaining, refreshing way to see League of Legends.
That's awesome.
Now, they're going to play KT Rolster. That should be a pretty, relatively easy win, but it's still exciting because you still always have this thought in the back of your head. They're a challenger team. When are they going to fall on their face? 6 games in, they still have yet to show that. Hopefully this isn't the start, but it's been a really fun thing to watch and thing to see go as it's happening. It's just, I'm really happy to see it. And it almost makes me sad that NA and EU are going to become franchised because, yes, we have a lot of bad. I feel like the ratio is 3-1 of bad teams that come in from the challenger scene compared to good teams, maybe even 4-1. But that one team, man, are they entertaining to watch. Like, I think Misfits when they entered the EU scene, or, this Griffin team, or like Cloud9 when they were very first starting. Like, you think of all these teams that come out of challenger scene and they're all rookies and they're all unknowns and they just dominate a season, and that's entertaining. That's fun.
No, for sure.
So pros and cons, I mean, that's always going to be the thing you have to worry about. And Korea does have a stronger solo queue scene, so they naturally have an easier time fostering this growth and growing this talent naturally. Like, it makes sense, but really entertaining to watch. I recommend, if you have time to watch any VODs or even highlights, but highlights don't show the full beauty of these comps they're running and the way they're playing. But definitely, if you can, try and go back and watch some VODs of this Griffin team. You'll be really happy with the League of Legends you're watching. Like, it's really high quality stuff.
Awesome. That's sick. I like that. I'd just love to hear that, because that's a rarity, especially in any esport, and that's been a question for the past, 5 years in Counter-Strike, and Overwatch is kind of a newer game, but even then, it's hard to find this new talent. We've just been kind of recycling through the same talent in CSGO for the past 5 years, and they've even 10 years almost. These guys have been playing 1.6 for however long, and then they transitioned over to either Source or CSGO, and they've just kind of been in the scene since. It's very rare that we get this new look of a player. We've had a few here and there, like Stewie 2K and all that, but that's been the struggle, is finding new talent. And it's just kind of recycle these old guys, and they're not any better than they used to be, and it gets kind of stale, and I think that's why Counter-Strike is so stale. That right there is just like a breath of fresh air, just to hear that these new upcomers are dominating the game.
It can still happen. I wish we could see something like that out of NA or EU, even with other scenes like CSGO, like you were saying, your Overwatch. Like, it's just fun to watch the underdog story happen.
Yeah.
Like, because the underdog story doesn't have to just be, oh, this team barely scrapes by till the finals and then comes back.
Mm-hmm.
The underdog story can be the rookies coming in and stomping face for a whole season and winning it all. Like, that's a fine underdog story for me. That's entertaining to watch.
For sure.
Hopefully we get to see them continue their success. I don't want them to necessarily completely destroy. I do want to see some parity in LCK. But if I do have to end the season with them being 18-0 and being undefeated, I can live with that.
I'm good.
That was entertaining. That's good. Yeah, that's fine by me.
Yeah, for sure.
Finally, going over to LPL, we have Invictus Gaming 5-0. They have the best record as it is right now. They are in the Group A, but no other team is 5-0. The closest one is Rogue Warriors, and they're 4-0. They're going to play more of their games this week. IG is followed by RNG and JD Gaming, both 4-1. And then kind of their group just tapers off real hard. I will say their scoreline doesn't seem to reflect how strong they really are or necessarily how weak they really are, because I have noticed them struggling in game. Like, it seems like they're not just dominating, but they are closing it out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even necessarily say clutch, but they just can go that little bit more than other teams. So I'm interested to see if other teams catch up, and once like we have a bigger sample size, if they start picking up more losses and everything balances out, or if they just continue staged a little bit ahead of the bell curve and a little bit better than all these other teams, so that they look like a perfect team, but in reality, when you watch the games, they're like, oh, you have a lot to work on.
Yeah, for sure.
Because as far as I know, they're still solely playing Duke. They're still not playing the Shy. So I don't know if they're maybe trying to build up synergy with him, maybe, which seems going to be like it's the running theme of this episode. Maybe there's more to it, what's going on behind the scenes. You'll realize what I'm talking about later, but maybe more happened with the Shy than just a hand injury. Who knows?
It's possible.
But they're 5-0. They had a pretty good week. They, defeated Suning Gaming, and they're going to go up against RNG actually Saturday. So that's going to be a really entertaining game to watch. That'll really tell us how good that team is, because I'm pretty sure RNG is going to say, all right, we got our loss. We're not winning the group yet. Let's throw in Uzi. Let's throw in our best top laner. Let's see. Let's see how good you really are. Let's test your limits.
Yeah.
So pretty excited for that. Other news, Snake Esports is doing pretty well, which is nice to see them. They aren't falling completely apart after, a good season. And it seems like World Elite is finally getting their feet underneath them. They had a bunch of roster changes. They're running Imp in the bot lane. Seems like they're finally getting their pace that they need, and they're going to be able to start taking games off.
Awesome. So
stop that. Game. She says, I'm very interested to see how World Elite does. That's her team.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know why. But so with that being said, Rogue Warriors versus World Elite is going to be the game that comes on Friday. We're going to maybe see if they can finally really get their feet underneath them, because they are playing the other 4-0 team, the only other undefeated team. So that could be a really good indicator of how strong that team might end up being.
Yeah.
In week 4, we're also going to see, honestly, up until then, that's really all we have. That's when Rift Rivals will start in LPL. But we're also going to have an LCK. Griffin, like I said, goes up against KT Rolster, and then SKT goes up against Kingzone Dragons same night. That's going to be Thursday night, Thursday morning, technically. So this episode might be on YouTube right before these games start, but don't hold your breath. So I'm going to be previewing this, but you'll probably be already been able to watch these games. But that's going to be really entertaining to watch. Seriously, if you can clear a time block, go back and watch all these VODs. Because the Griffin KT game series is going to be great, and the SKT and the Kingzone series has the potential to be great, as it kind of still plateauing Kingzone versus a rising SKT are going to go up and face each other. We could see a lot of good league.
Yeah, for sure.
As for that, the only other really interesting games are going to come Sunday the 1st, and that's going to be Gen.G Gaming versus Africa Freaks. This is the last time I'm going to say it. From this point on, know them as Gen.G. This is formerly Samsung Galaxy.
Yeah.
So from great to bad to looking pretty great again, we're going to see them go up against the former second place, team in Spring Split. I'm really excited for that matchup. So LCK has got a bunch of good games this week. Hopefully those don't disappoint. EU, going into week 3, their weekend's looking pretty good. We're going to see Misfits versus Schalke. Misfits should take a win, but Schalke can see this is where we really stand. This is where we're really at. On the same day, the last game of the day, we're going to see G2 versus Fnatic. We finally get our finals rematch. G2 is looking like the stronger team. They're looking like they have more strategies compared to Fnatic, more they can pull out. But Fnatic is probably going to be running the Bwipo comp again. Bwipo replacing Reckless as the ADC. So there's a pretty good chance that can be a good game. That could go either way. On the next day, we're going to see Vitality versus Schalke. Both these matchups that I'm really focused on are Schalke because I'm really interested to see if that team continues to do well or if it, falls on their face. But that has potential to go in a pretty good way. At least Schalke should be able to take one game. Maybe if they focus all their practice resources, they lose one miserably and they win one pretty well. Who knows how they do it, but they have a pretty good chance. Honestly, that's all EU has. There's definitely matches. I don't think any of them. I feel like there's stronger teams facing much weaker teams.
Yeah.
On Saturday, you have like Misfits versus H2K. You have Fnatic versus Giant. You have Splice versus Roccat, which is 2 bottom tier teams at the moment, and then G2 versus ULL.
Okay.
So it's like the 3 arguably strongest teams are going to be going up against probably the 3 arguably weakest teams. And then the other 2 games are pretty even mid-tier games.
Yeah.
Because I still am a firm believer that Splice is a mid-tier team. They're just floundering.
Struggling a little bit.
They're just floundering. Like they're going to find their feet. It's just going to take a minute.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Finally, we're going to talk about our NALCS matches to watch. And boy, are there a few. And I don't know, this might always be my bias. It's always the thing I worry about. But on Saturday, we have the classic Cloud9 versus TSM.
Ooh.
Not with the classic teams, mind you. Not with the classic players, and unless something changes by the time this episode releases. But as of right now, it's still Cloud9 running Golden Glue, Keith, and Zeyzal. Reaper did put out a tweet that roster will change. He heard that roster changes will happen. He did not say what changes will happen. So we'll just have to see. A lot of people are speculating it's going to be Jensen in mid lane and Golden Glue in the bot lane because they're going to follow Fnatic's approach and try and do mages in the bot lane.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea until you realize they're playing against Vin and Mithy.
Yeah.
They're not pop-off carry potential players, but they're the most consistent players I know of. So Golden Glue is not going to find some, haha, surprise, I'm a mage in the bot lane. I know what I'm doing advantage.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to work. It could be great against a team like Echo Fox with a weak bot lane, but I don't see it working against TSM.
I gotcha.
So who knows what happens? Maybe we'll see just the OG Cloud9 roster come back, and I don't know. It's really hard to predict what will happen. But the real match to watch following that is what I'm really excited for. Team Liquid versus Echo Fox.
Ooh.
Both the teams topping the NA standings. It's going to be good. Both those teams showed a really strong week too. Like I said, Echo Fox did lose the surprise game, but I don't feel like that was so much a showing of how weak they are. I feel like it's a showing of how much potential Optic Gaming can have as a team. So I still think Echo Fox is a really strong team. I still expect it to go to Team Liquid, but it will be very close and very fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
Right after that, it's going to be 100 Thieves versus Clutch Gaming. And both those teams are 2-2. 100 Thieves had a 2-0 weekend, and Clutch Gaming has had 1-1 weeks back-to-back. Clutch Gaming is a super consistent team, and 100 Thieves has insanely high highs and insanely low lows.
Yeah.
So it will be a stomp, but it's a matter of who's going to stomp who, I feel like. I don't feel like those teams are going to come at the same level ground. One, like 100 Thieves are going to be pop off insane, or 100 Thieves are going to int, and Clutch Gaming is just going to be like, all right, we'll just farm and kill you slowly. And we'll death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Beautiful.
That's just how it is. And I mean, the next 2 teams or the next 2 games are obviously by the remaining 4 teams. Nothing insanely hyped to watch. Optic Gaming versus CLG can kind of show which of those teams is stronger, but I don't think they're going to be insane hype matches. And on Sunday, we're going to have a little bit, since we had such great matchups might not be as good then. We'll have Clutch Gaming versus Liquid could be an entertaining watch, but TL should be able to edge that one out pretty relatively easy. Cloud9 versus Echo Fox, if the OG roster is in, or like I said, if they do the Golden Glue thing, that could be interesting. That might be a really good game to watch if Golden Glue can take advantage of the relatively weak bot lane of Alltech and Adrian or Alltech and Fong, depending on who they run. But that's basically my NA matchups. That's basically all my league matchups. There's really every good game is I tried to hit up right there.
Mm-hmm.
The only final news I really have that's pretty big is some Rift Rivals news for NA and EU. I haven't been able to find that much on the other regions, but for NA, 100 Thieves announced that they are going to be running a Brandini Levi comp, which means they're going to be leaving Someday and Meteos here in NA to scrim with their academy team, and they're going to be taking their academy top laner and their academy jungler. Now, Brandini is an NA talent. Some people might remember him. He's been floating in and out of Challenger and competitive scene. He's not a true rookie because he has subbed for people. But Levi is that Vietnamese jungler from Gigabyte Marines that absolutely popped off. Not at this year's MSI, but the one before that.
Oh, yeah.
The one where G2 went to finals, that was the one with Levi, and he was insane. He was the reason that Gigabyte Marines were a equal level to TSM.
Yeah.
When they went to MSI.
That's crazy.
It could be really fun to watch. He might be really good. I don't think he'll do as well as people are hoping.
Yeah.
Because Rift Rivals is going to be on a weird patch. It's a Aphromoo and other supports other players have talked about how weird Rift Rivals is and the fact that it's a really fun tournament. It's entertaining, but it's not good for actually telling strength and parity of teams.
Yeah.
But it's still fun to finally see Levi getting his chance as the pro LCS player, not the academy LCS player.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll see how that goes. Maybe if Levi pops off, we may get to see a someday Levi 100 Thieves soon, and they'll find a replacement for Ryu, which, don't get me wrong, Ryu is doing great. I think 100 Thieves running someday and Levi as their top side of the map is an absolute terror if Levi is as good as he was on Gigabyte.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely interesting.
So sorry I talked for quite a few minutes there. It's just like I said,
good.
It's been a real good week. I'm pretty excited with all these results, and maybe it's just that rekindling that fire. But this meta is finally becoming good and entertaining to watch for me. Maybe I'm finally catching on. But for what it's worth, good League of Legends lately.
Awesome. Well, that's always good to hear. I'll make up for it here in Overwatch because we don't have crap to report on. Only thing that got announced this week is the All-Star Cup. We've got the starting rosters, and we'll start with the Pacific Division because the Atlantic Division is just kind of funny. So in the Pacific, we've got Fidger as our starter tank. No surprise there. He plays for the Los Angeles Gladiators. We got Custa as our support. He plays for the Los Angeles Valiant. We have Gregory, who's going to be the flex tank. She plays for the Shanghai Dragons. That's kind of their star player and always kind of has been the diamond in the rough. We've got Mr. Fleta on DPS as well as Ryu Jaehong. He'll be playing that good old Zen that we love watching him play. And then finally we got Seagull playing as the sixth man. So that is the roster for the Pacific Division. Over on the Atlantic Division, it's basically just the New York Excel. Four of the players that are starting for the Atlantic Division are New York Excel players. We've got Jay Jonak, Sabiobli. There we go. Gosh, dang it. Pine.
That's a hard one.
We've got Arc. Yeah, it's so bad. Anyways, got Pine. We got Arc. And then our two but they're still Koreans. Got Carpe from the Fusion and then Gesture from the Spitfire, which I was kind of surprised about Gesture. But he is a great tank, surprising. But I would have expected maybe Muma or someone from, I don't know, now, just for the tank.
4 Excel players as the Atlantic starting roster?
Yeah. So this doesn't necessarily mean...
Embarrassing.
Yeah, so this doesn't necessarily mean that these are the players that are going to be playing the entire time. So the All-Star Cup is a little bit odd with how they do it. Each roster is going to have 12 additional players. So they're basically going to have 3 different rosters ready to pick and choose from. At first, they're going to do some custom skill matches. I'm assuming those are just like 1v1s and whatnot to start off the day. And then from there, they'll go into the actual Pacific versus Atlantic Division All-Star game. But yeah, that's about all the news we got on there. Again, I just think it's funny.
Well,
the Atlantic Division
is funny. I mean, From a purely competitive standpoint, it means Atlantic has a huge upper hand because, like,
Yeah.
they have 2/3 of the New York starting roster, so
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be like, all right, gesture, just follow us. We're, just follow our strategy. We're going to win.
Basically, another big thing
there
too
is
is going to be the language barrier. All the Atlantic Division starters are all Korean, and then over on the Pacific Division, we've got a Korean, Chinese, 2 Koreans, one guy from Washington, another guy from, I think Custa's from France, if I remember correctly. So we got all kinds of stuff going on there. So we'll see how that'll work out.
It will depends what kind of all-star event Blizzard wants to run. Do they want it to be competitive and serious? Do they want it to be totally fun and goofy?
Mm-hmm.
Because, for what it's worth, my experience with all-star events with League of Legends is the competitive one that Riot threw this last time was not well received. The very serious competitive one where it's like, I want to see how good my team of all-stars from China goes against this team of all-stars from NA and vice versa. It wasn't well received by fans. It was too serious. The players weren't going to take it seriously anyway. There wasn't any real big rewards, but they were supposed to act like it was serious compared to the first one where there were 1v1s and it was just goofy. And it would be like Bjergsen versus Faker playing troll champions and just trying to, kill each other without even touching a minion. Like, that was entertaining and fun to watch. Of course, there's always the middle ground of I don't want my players to entirely troll the whole time they're there, but I want them to have fun because it's entertaining to watch.
Yeah, 100%.
So hopefully these, Overwatch players kind of find that happy medium where it's like, I'm having fun. I'm just trying to enjoy myself at the same time. Taking a win home, taking a trophy home, I wouldn't mind that either.
For sure. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that works out. I definitely think, I'm hoping at least that it'll be more on the fun side, especially with how they are going to be doing the 1v1s and some other skill games. I don't really know what that constitutes as far as what a skill game or skill match is as worded in this article, but Blizzard's usually pretty fun. I haven't really had any qualms with them as far as... Are they going to be
playing any of their mini games, you think? Like their... like when they had their Rocket League version.
Yeah, Lucio Ball. There's Lucio May Snowball. Yeah, that would be actually really interesting. That'd be a lot of fun. They'll probably have something. I would imagine they would have to do that. That would be a lot of fun, but who knows?
That'd be a nice surprise.
But yeah, it's going to be fun. That's about all we've got, though. Nothing announced for the World Cup yet. We're still waiting for that to come through. And then I think next week or the week after, I'll preview the World Finals or the stage playoffs or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's going to do it. So that'll transition us into our new segment. Trent, would you like to introduce it?
I will. All right. Well, we're going to be bringing you guys a new segment. This isn't going to be weekly or anything, but we're going to try and hit on community backlash and any other issues that we've been seeing talked about, and we're going to call it 5 minutes of flame.
Flame.
Fire.
I'll edit it in. Don't worry. Oh, okay.
Sorry, I just had to do something real quick. I had to shut my door. But this week, I'm going to give you a second to think about it. Let you really dwell on what we could possibly be talking about in esports. That might be an issue, especially given the fact that I introduced it and it's probably my idea, and I mostly talk about League. Okay, has everyone yelled at their TV or their computer like it's Dora the Explorer, and you're telling me what I'm going to talk about? Yeah, it's Cloud9.
Perfect.
Everyone probably could have guessed that. It is going to be Cloud9 we're trying to hit on.
It's too fun.
And where do I start? I mean, so when I was thinking about it, I started esports as a Cloud9 fan. They're what brought me into the scene. Ever since I've started trying to have this venture, I've been trying to have a much more neutral side. But at the same time, down, in my roots, I still am a Cloud9 fan.
For sure. You can't be an American and not be a Cloud9 fan. It's just how it is.
It's hard to see their LoL team floundering. And I was thinking about this segment, and it was really entertaining. But then I thought more about it, and I was like, let's really go back. Let's think about this. Because Cloud9 hasn't just been having issues with their LoL team. When you think about it. They have been having issues for a while, and I think it basically started and I forget the exact timing, but it was either after the Boston Major or it was after the Worlds for League of Legends. Because here's the trend I keep noticing with Cloud9 is that they will have these extremely high highs and then they fall off the map in the most catastrophic way.
Yeah.
Think about it. So I'm going to hit the CSGO scene first. This might not be completely chronological. Bear with me. CSGO. It's this team. They're kind of slow, like diamond in the rough. Every now and again, they have an all kind of stand-up performance, but they're never really all the way there.
Yeah.
Until finally, Boston Majors come around. And this team just is insane. They're strong. They're NA's only hope.
Yeah.
And they end up winning the majors, which was huge. It's never happened for an NA team before. Everything was exciting. It was great. All of the esports were congratulating Cloud9. I remember in a LoL broadcast that they were like,
yeah, I remember that.
And said, we want to congratulate Cloud9 not only for their win in this past, best of one, but also for their, win in the Boston Majors, which just, it felt like everything was connected, right?
For sure.
And that's not beside the point. But after that Majors win, it felt like things kind of stagnated, and Cloud9 kept going to these minor tournaments, and they weren't performing anywhere near that high level they were. And then the news dropped that Stewie2K was transferred to SK Gaming, which is disappointing. It's disappointing to see someone who was arguably the best player on that roster, the star player, just gone. He just goes to another team. And it's not even like he really went to a team that he had a nationality with. He was an American player that went to a completely different team. That was unheard of.
It was pretty odd.
Unheard of for an NA import. That's unheard of in most esports. There's an NA import who goes to a separate team unless it's Europe. But Brazilians dominate CSGO. Why do they want American? And it's really weird that Cloud9 could not hold on to Stewie 2K. So that's where my first thought was. And then we go back to Overwatch. And look at London Spitfire. They win stage 1, and they are pretty good stage 2. They're a consistently good team. And then the Spitfire gets hit by a German, land-air missile or whatever, and it starts fishtailing out of control and crashes and burns. And I was there with them. I was like, they'll control it. They'll fix it. They'll land this plane safely. And I was so wrong. I was so wrong. The plane exploded brutally on ground. No survivors.
Well, no, to be fair, I think they crashed in the snow and now they're just kind of cold. Because, they made it to grand finals. They're banking off the success that they started with, and then they just floundered from there. But I'll at least say there were survivors.
With a box of scraps. They're going to grand finals with a box of scraps.
Yeah.
And the Gladiators, well, maybe the Gladiators aren't going, but the Valiant, the XL, they're all there. They're going to play. And it's just, what happened? Why did this team flounder? What happened here that made this team fall apart? And now I'm going to go back. And like I said, this is bouncing around timelines, kind of. I understand that. Cloud9 at Worlds. Impact, Contracts, Jensen, Sneaky, Smoothie. NA's last hope. Year after year, they do it again. They make it through groups, and they play. They don't get through quarterfinals, but they were the best in a North American team yet again.
Yeah.
And then spring split happens. They don't make it through quarterfinals against Dignitas. And then, I'm sorry, no, that was summer split of last season. They don't make it through quarterfinals versus Dignitas. And then spring split happens, and they don't make it through quarterfinals against Team Liquid. Now, of course, this one is debatable on how bad of a thing that is because Team Liquid went on to win the NA finals. So if you lose to the best team in quarterfinals, it's debatable where you actually are placed and how good you are. Because for all you know, you could have beat the second place team. You just lost to the first place team.
Yeah.
But they lose in quarterfinals. And now, coming into the summer split, they bench their 3 mainstay players. So C9's League of Legends team is now running a completely different roster than what they went to Worlds with. They lost Impact, they lost Contracts, they lost Jensen, they lost Sneaky, they lost Smoothie. They didn't lose the last 3, but they're not playing them.
Yeah.
What is going on with Cloud9's organization that every time they hit a high and they do well, their immediate follow-up is that something horrible happens to that org, like, or that team.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm overstating it. Maybe I'm being over dramatic, but that's the whole point of this segment. Is it valid criticism? What is going on?
I think it's
Is
definitely
it a bunch of. Sorry, go on.
I think it is valid criticism because, like you said, they have these highs and they do well, and then they change things. And I don't know why they change things.
It
Now,
feels like
the Stewie
change for the
2K
sake of
buyout,
change,
I don't
correct?
think, yeah, it's like the old saying, what's not broke, don't fix it. But they are literally like trying to break things almost. Like it's literally, the Stewie 2K, there's a lot of insider information that was behind the scenes and all that stuff. The buyout for Stewie 2K was absolutely insane. I don't remember the number, but it was, well, I think it was about close to $1 million if I remember correctly. And so that frees up a lot of space for C9 to import a new talent and maybe get a more solid player. Because Stewie 2K, as good as he was very inconsistent, and we've seen that with him in SK recently. Is he hasn't really performed in SK at all. There's all kinds of stuff that goes into that. So the Stewie 2K move wasn't horrible in my opinion. It was scary. It was a odd one to say the least, but I don't think it was to the point of, oh, what the crap are they doing? Now, what they've done in recent history or recent time now is, one, they are benching Skadoodle to play Mixwell, which I kind of agree with because Skadoodle's having issues, but they still don't have a fifth announced, like a official fifth, and no one knows where they're going to go to. They may go over to the French scene, get MBK. He's a longtime French player who has been struggling. The whole entire French scene has been struggling for about a year and a half now, maybe 2 years. So they may try to get some talent from over there. The world is their oyster as far as that goes. As far as Overwatch, I have no idea what the hell is wrong over there. There is just, I don't know. They look like they're depressed all the time. I don't know if it's just because they're far away from home or if the team just isn't getting along with each other or what, but oh my gosh, they are a poor bunch of saps, it looks like.
When you think about it, what I think of, it sometimes feels like Jack, and this is of course the C9 CEO, it feels like he can't decide if he wants to have a serious organization or a meme organization.
That's true.
Or if he wants to be kind-hearted or completely savage. Like, it feels like, I'm not saying he's bipolar. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it feels like he can't decide how he wants his org to be ran because he sees these, like, great starts and he also sees these failures and he can't decide what it is that's causing that, if it's the memes or if it's the seriousness. So, like...
And to play on to like, the meme part, look at their Smash scene. C9 Mango. Everyone loves Mango and he makes them a ton of money. He is a wonderful asset. But he's also not. He hasn't been a top. I'd say in the top 5, and I don't know how long. He's one of regarded as one of the gods of Super Smash Bros. But he's been struggling for the past year and a half. He hasn't won any events in I don't know how long. But he is a big, ginormous, just meme, and everyone loves him. And so, like you said, we're not sure if he wants the organization to be serious and come home with these prestigious trophies, or if he just wants to be the lovable guy that.
Yeah.
You pick for kickball because you just like him, not necessarily because he's the fastest and strongest.
And you think about what happened with contracts when they were negotiating contracts for 2018. He said he wanted to look at offers. In all honesty, was that too generous of Jack? Should he have said, no, I really need you to stay on this team. We're going to work around you. You're a rookie jungler. You're a huge upcoming talent. Because what he basically told him, and of course this is an abridged version, if you go look at other offers, I need to look at other offers.
Yeah.
So basically, before contracts had made a decision, he had already decided to sign Sven because he's like, he's not as high of a high as you, but he's also not putting me in a dumpster where I don't have a high jungler talent to pick from. So I'm going to pick a safe option. What if he just didn't let contract explore options? Not that contracts couldn't have been bought out, but he also. Like, it wouldn't have been so much as him just being like, I don't know if you even want to play for me. So that's my 2 cents. It's realistically, holistically, I don't believe this is Cloud9. I don't think we're seeing pardon my pun, evaporation of Cloud9. I don't think this is gonna be them just slowly, decrepitly falling into nothingness and becoming a fossil themselves.
Yeah.
I do think it's worth asking, did they overstep?
Entering
the Overwatch League, putting so much effort into their CSGO scene while also still having a very good LoL team. And now you see all their PUBG and Fortnite and Rocket League. And not that those cost a lot of money, but they do cost resources.
Yeah, for sure.
They do cost time for the CEO to be spending time with those players now too. Is Cloud9 a better org as a smaller org? Can they not afford to be something like Optic is?
That's possible.
Because it's weird to say it. If I were to think of, honestly, if I were to compare Optic Gaming versus Cloud9, it really does seem like Cloud9 is the more family friendly, or the family version of an esports team.
Yeah.
Or at least prior to whatever happened this year was. Because Optic Gaming has, I believe his name's Hector. I don't remember
his
full name. Hex. Okay, perfect. And he is a great CEO. He doesn't seem truly super invested in any one certain team in his league. Whereas Jack feels like the type of nice, wholesome person that he wants to be invested in all of his teams and all of his players.
Yeah.
But if you spread yourself too thin, what are you losing? It's weird to see. And as I mentioned earlier, when he was being savage, he put out a video where he benched Jensen and Sneaky in front of the whole team at a scrim review. That's harsh. In any world, that is insane. And then he posted it to YouTube. So not only did those two get embarrassed in front of their coworkers, they then got embarrassed in front of their whole social media following.
Yeah.
So it's strange. It's just it's an entirely strange situation. I don't think it's anything permanent. I think that this year might be bad for C9. I do not disagree with that. I think one more pun. I promise I'm done after this one. Swear. But it's going to be a drought. 2018 is going to be a drought.
Okay.
We're not going to see a huge performance. I think they'll come back with a resurgence in 2019. But I think they need to adapt to either have this bigger umbrella of all these teams, or they need to very much bring some of this back and scale some of this back. You don't need a PUBG team. You don't need a Rocket. You don't need a Fortnite team. You can have some of these things. And if you want to bank on one of these things getting really big, awesome, go for it. But you don't need, because I'm sure Realm Royale will get a team soon too. You don't need a team for all 3 Battle Royale games.
You do though.
You might. I mean, here's the thing though. That's the whole point of gambling, is you're supposed to know when to pull out, when to call it. If you just play on 3 machines instead of just playing on one, technically, you're tripling your odds, but you're also tripling the rate you're bleeding out resources.
It's true. That's true. It's good.
So I honestly think that they need to, like I said, either completely change their business strategy, or they need to rein some of this back in and calm down on what they're doing.
Yeah.
Now, of course, here's the thing about this segment. And like I said before, it is an evaluation of community criticism. I do think the community is being very harsh. I think, especially for the LoL team, that the community outcry has been insane, especially on players who don't deserve it. Because Golden Glue is playing really well, and Zeyzal is a rookie support who's doing fine with what he's been given. Now, Keith, I'm not going to touch on. But
that's fair. No, just keep going.
That's not talking I want to do. But I think the community is being extremely harsh, not only especially to those players. Those players did not call for this benching. Those players did not call for these roster moves. If you were Golden Glue, and even if Jensen 100% is better than you, and you want to play in the pro scene, would you not take an opportunity, even if it had to bench Jensen on your team, to play in the pro scene, to put your name out there? And it's not even like he's performing bad. He's performing well. He's playing good games. So I think that criticism has been harsh.
Yeah.
I think the criticism of coaching staff, and specifically Jack, has been valid, but also not expressed correctly. I think that people are very harshly saying, if Sneaky leaves, I leave, when the reality should be a more thoughtful way of saying, look, you're an esports league. You're not localized. You don't have a localized fan base. You don't have reasons for me to stay. Your players are why I joined you. I didn't pick your team. And I saw a really good Reddit comment on this, and Reddit is sometimes totally garbage, but sometimes it gives you gems like this. Pros and cons of being an esports sport are this. The cons are you don't have any localization.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any natural fan base that just comes with being where you are, like the Cavs or something. The Cavs were miserable, but they had a really loyal fan base just based on Cleveland. Mm-hmm. And then LeBron came back, and now not only are they great, they have a bunch of non-bandwagoning fans. They have bandwagoners, but they have real fans too, which is awesome.
For sure.
But the great thing about being an esports team, all your fans are totally of their own volition.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be your fan. They didn't get peer pressured by friends or family.
Yeah.
At least not insane. Like, they don't have any ties to pick one org over another, minus I like your players, I like the way you act, and I like your logo.
Mm-hmm.
So there's pros and cons to both. Cloud9 needs to reevaluate this, and they need to be called out on this and say, hey, look, I started liking this team because Sneaky. I don't like the way you're treating him. I don't. Now, if this was a little more fair, if you're treating him like you treated contracts, that'd be fine. You're treating him like he isn't the reason your team is successful in what it is today. That your whole org is what it is today. Cloud9 started as a LoL team. To see Sneaky thrown under the bus is disheartening, to say the least. Because it takes away that wholesome, memey image of Cloud9 and says, no, look, we're just as serious as TSM.
Mm-hmm.
When that wasn't the identity anyone started following. That wasn't the identity I started following.
Yeah. So
this concludes our very long segment of 5 minutes of flame.
That was a long 5 minutes.
In case you didn't pick up, the title is all about the pun. There is not actually going to be 5 minutes. Maybe based on feedback, we might hold that down to actually have a 5 minute
I think
segment.
next time I'm going to start a timer.
Okay, well, that's fair. I had a lot to talk about. This was something I did want to talk about for a while. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting. Like I said, we might not see as strong of a Cloud9 as before, but if they are truly weak all to 2018, there'll be a really nice resurgence in 2019, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. We've got high hopes. Not for this season, not for this year, but see you next year, Cloud9. We're going to Team Liquid. But anyways, I think that's going to wrap it up for us, guys. Trent, do you have anything more you want to add?
I talked enough. I talked everyone's ear off. I think that's good for me.
Awesome. Well, guys, we appreciate you as always. Like, subscribe, follow. We just recently launched our Recall Twitter. So that's going to be at Recall Podcast on Twitter. You can follow that we don't tweet a lot, but here and there, if we see that Sneaky is finally added back, we will be the first to tell you, hopefully. So make sure you follow that. You can follow me at BrennanH_. You can follow Trent at Avius Gaming. I think that's going to do it. So we appreciate you as always. This has been Recall. Take care.